Hi, everybody. Yes, it's me again. I think I'm on a roll, I swear. I've been on a roll all day today. It's not like I'm getting loads of numbers of subscribers or whatever, but I just like to put things out so I can just get things tapped down. Anyway, like the live said, I'm just gonna give my opinion on small acts because like I've been really wanting to talk about it for a very long time because everybody's put their opinions about small acts, the series that was on BBC One. The person who wrote it was Steve McQueen. He's the one who wrote 12 Years of Slavery, but that's another story in it. Steve McQueen, right, we know he's a bit of a coconut by far, but some parts of the series was quite interesting. The series of Small Axe, what it did, it explained the plight of racism in Britain. So there was like 4 episodes to it, and 4 or 5 episodes to it, and it showed like different characters in different situations, different situations. I want to say dilemmas because they're situations. I think the only lightest one was the second episode, even though people have their opinions on that one. Small Axe, the name Small Axe alone, right, as we know the song by Bob Marley, like there's a song that Bob Marley wrote called Small Axe. So I understand why he would call it Small Axe. Now, I'm going to try and keep this very short because I don't want to be lengthy and go on and repeat myself over and over again because I realize I've done that in the past ones. So I don't want to do it. Okay, so basically, Small Axe. Basically, Small Axe was different stories. Now, each story showed different situations of racism. The biggest one that stood out for me, I think, was Musgrove. Well, two, should I say? Musgrove, the Musgrove 7, and Kingsley, I would say, and Logan, Leroy Logan. Actually, three of them stood out for me. I also listened to other people's opinions on the show because what the show indicated is that nothing has changed much in Britain, really, apart from whereas before there was institutional racism where everything was PC. There was institutional racism and there was the other type of racism. So it highlighted a few things. The biggest one, I would say, was Leroy Logan. He started out as a forensic scientist, and his dad got beaten up by the police, and then he in turn decided to try to change things by becoming a policeman. Quite a good episode. It had a little bit of touching points there as well because I was literally shouting at the screen. That was the third episode of Small Axe. It also showed that how them times. I've heard about the sus law where they needed the letters where they can move around and stuff like that. So it showed a bit of that as well. Anyway, back to episode 1. Episode 1 showed a restaurant called Musgrove, where the police kept coming there because they profile the people there. Because you're black, you're a prostitute, you're, i.e., a gangster, you run drugs, same old normal stereotypes. So what they're doing now, right? They're coming into the restaurant, even though he's trying to run a proper business for the community, and they will just be ransacking it all the time. They're coming and ransacking it, until when they got so fed up, they decided to march for the community, because this is down Ladbroke Grove. So, I mean, it shows carnival as well. It shows that part as well, but it also shows that how they didn't even get a let up. Right, so they end up going to no. First the police kept going to the place, like every now and again, the same policeman, you know, ransacking the place, looking for drugs, this, that, and the other. And he's trying to the one who's running the business is like doing like a proper business. He ain't doing an illegal business. So he was getting fed up with everything else. I mean, and also it shows, right, there was also certain social people, like Dark as Hell was in there too. So like, if anybody knows about Dark as Hell, then like you'll see where he falls in on all this, because he stood up for what he did, right? He also became a scholar, you know, because he was a big time activist. And there was a Trinidadian lady, and there were 7 of them anyway. So the police decided to bring them in on Trump charges, because they decided to protest because they was getting fed up. So in the thing now, you see that how, right, you know, like even to choosing the jurors, like it'll be no, like they didn't want them to be judged by their peers. So they gave them like little, like you know, like we got lawyers, but the lawyers weren't for them, because anyhow the lawyers will tell them, say that you're guilty, like even if they're not. So one lady says, no, you can't say that you're guilty, right? You have to stand up for yourself, right? And what moved me about the show was like how they was able to get evidence against the policeman who kept constantly coming in and doing what he was doing. Then he's trying to justify it. Then you see Dark as Hell, who stand up, and he spoke up for himself and all that, until like they had to stop. I think they rebuckled or something on the charges, because the charges was jumped up charges basically. So like you kind of see a concluding to this episode, like, you know, from the police bothering them to they reach the court, and the reason why they reached the court, to the concluding part. So I will say that episode was the best part of it for me anyway. The next one was the dance, the was it smaller, Lovers Rock. Now Lovers Rock, everybody in the community, all right, as you know, there is 2 Lovers Rock. There's one written by Melik Shabazz, and now Steve McQueen come and wrote the Lovers Rock. A lot of people had a lot of issues with the Lovers Rock. I mean, the music was fine. Same way. But the problem with the Lovers Rock was the certain things was going on in Lovers Rock, in the Lovers Rock episode. But some of the elder generation said that how, no, we don't go on like this, we won't be on the floor, we don't be jumping up and all that. So I also spoke to another lady who used to go out round about them times. She said those things never used to go on, what was shown in the episode. Apart from the music that Janet Kay wrote, that he kept playing in it, then also there's a bit of an issue, because there's one lady, she goes with her friend, and her friend end up leaving her. Now, the oldies are saying that how when you go to a dance with your friend, you never leave your friend there and you go, right? So there was a bit of altercation in the Lovers Rock episode, I would say, is, but you have to see it for yourself, because me explaining it ain't gonna, right, I can't give away the whole thing, you know what I mean? So so in that particular episode, you see there's little holes, but when you watch Menelik Shabazz's one, right, you get a better, clearer understanding of how the Lovers Rock was, you know what I mean? Because Lovers Rock was the British equivalent to reggae in Jamaica, so that they have their own, little uniqueness. Like, so when they go dances and they do the thing, you hear Janet Kay, you hear uh, Black Uhuru, you hear Dub Judah. In the dances was set in a particular way. Jar Shaka used to run dances them times as well. So and that's more highlighted in another film, which is which is in another. I can't be like. There's a film called Babylon where you see where Jar Shaka and how the youths was them times, so you get a better understanding. So if you watch Babylon and you watch Malik Shabazzi's Lovers Rock, and you watch this Lovers Rock, right, you get a whole different understanding, because that was their getaway from all this drabness of England and all that, you know what I mean? So you have to have a bigger understanding. You can't just say, oh, that was it, Right, the next one after Lovers Rock was, like I said, Leroy Logan. Now now the episode is called, I think, Red, White and Black. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember. So in there now, right, you see he's going to school, he's educated, and I think when he was younger, the police was gonna take him in or something, and the dad come the same time, and the dad goes to him, don't have them come search you there, because they're not supposed to do it, because he must have been about 10. So you see that then. So that's the start of his little journey. Then later on now, right, you see him a bit more grown up, and he's studying, he's doing, like I said, forensic science, and he's doing his little bit, and he's doing pretty well, and then his dad gets beaten up. So like, I think the police put on an advert that how they want to bring in, other mixes into the police and all that, to make a statement or whatever. So he goes and he joins the police. And like, you see a few things, because I don't want to give it away in case you ain't seen it. You see a few things, but at the end of it, right, is like he's still not part of the whole setup, because they're still calling him names and different names, and treating him like rubbish, putting things on his locker, kind of a hazing situation. So later on now, right, you see Leroy Logan in a different light, because no, actually, I don't even think you see what happens to him afterwards, because I think they just left it open. Heaven knows what they left it open. But if you go and look him up, you'll see he was a superintendent. He's a superintendent of the police, and he said the reason why he got into the police because he was fed up watching people get beaten up and all that stuff. He's even got, I'm even going to put the links down, and you can see for yourself, because these are real people. These ain't pretend people. The Musgrove 7 and Leroy Logan, right, is the next one. Now, the other one is Alex Whitley. Now, everybody knows Alex Whitley is a famous author by himself. Now, we see Alex Whitley going through some things. All right? I don't even want to say too much. You see him go through some things, all right, at the beginning, and you really want to go in the scream and fruffle, beat up, do something, you know what I mean? Because it's a child, one, and two, like you feel for him, for the character. So the character, right, right, he was brought up in a home or some kind of institution. So, and he was the only black one there. So the woman will be always putting thing in him, motor and all this, and you're frustrated because you're watching this, because this is a child at the end of the day. So later on now, you see him, and because he's talking very well and all that, because they put him in Brixton. But he's talking very well. He's very well versed and all that. Because I think these are my I think this is my one or two favorite ones. That's why I talk more in depth with certain ones. He what's the word? He's talking so posh. He's like he don't fit in to the black stereotypical, you know, talking. He don't say what I want and da, 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 da. He don't talk like that. He talks very well because he come from Surrey or somewhere. So they put him in in Brixton, like in a hostel situation. So when he's there, obviously he make friend and whatever they try to teach him certain things. You know, they teach him about the street, they teach him that you're African and and all that. Teach him about his history because he have no idea of his history. So this character, right? You see him come from the institution from when he was younger. You see him when him older, they move him, they put him in some kind of hostel situation. And then after that, right, you see him now like learning street slang, he dressing like them, he blowing out his afro and all sorts of things, right? So with when you see it now, you're like, wow, like, you know, he's really changed. He's all got, you know, the swag. He got the swag. That's the best word I can say. He got the swag. Anyway, later on, right, obviously, right, he gets into a couple things, you know, the criminal element or whatever he's dealing with, and he's growing and he's coming into certain things, and he's do not make a noise. He's coming into certain things, and he's coming to himself. And he's making and he's becoming more and more. He's learning more and more about the streets, and he's learning who to deal with, who not to deal with, and all this stuff. And you know, and he's literally worse than the person who showed him how to do the thing. Anyway, later on now, right, the guy takes him to his family and he don't really fit in. So you see him come out and crying. I think that's before he gets in with the worst other criminal. Yes. So anyways, right, later on now, right, I think the Newcastle fire happened. So if anybody who's not from England, you need to go check out and hear and learn about the Newcastle fire. The Newcastle fire happened, and there was a big outcry in England. Everybody come out and riot and walk and protest. No, they protested, and they call it the Newcastle fire. The Newcastle fire, that where it killed 13 people died in the Newcastle fire, and some of them committed suicide. So then, right, you see him going to the protest, and you see the police running after him and all this stuff. But later on, right, the police come and they raid the place because I think they have him on, right. It's like they knew who he was, so they go find him. Now when they find him now, right, they go through court and he end up in a prison. Now, when he end up in a prison, right, he's very hurt, you know, because like he's been hurt by people all through his life. All through his life, he's been hurt. And then, right, you know, right, he's in lockdown with a Rasta man of like, when at first when you see the Rasta man, right, you kind of you don't like him at all. But later on, the Rasta man put some words like you know, hug him, and he let out his frustration because he's fed up, he's been through it all, he's so the rest of the man goes to him to go and find out who he is. The rest of the man says, you know, you need to go find out who you are, and you need to read some books, or you need to find your roots and all this stuff. So Alex Whitley goes to it seems like the social services office, but what gets me right is when he take the files. Now, in real life, we know that how right they won't just rest down the file just like that, and then like you just take it and you go on. But anyway, he gets the file and he tried to find out who he is and all that stuff. But you don't see what happens at the end. But I know, obviously, in real life, he's a famous writer because he's reading books and he's learning about himself and whatever. So I think I can't remember the books he wrote, because I remember reading a few of his books as well as a teenager. So yes. The next one now this one is Kingsley. Now Kingsley is put into like a special school or some type of school, and they treat him so bad. They treat him bad. You think, Lord, this child, man, he go through so much rubbish in that school. I think the only time when I was happy when one of the people went to the school to go inspect it, because we can't tell you the whole story. You have to go look at it for yourself. So I'm going to take away half of that, and we're going to tell you nearing little as much as such small as I can. So Kingsley is in a school which they call abnormal, because apparently they're saying that black children are abnormal and we don't learn nothing, we don't do nothing. But they sent him to a school and he wasn't learning. And when his mother found out he wasn't learning, she went to some type of meeting, and then they started explaining, and they were saying, you know, I want my children to do better than me and all this stuff, right? So they put him in a special school, which is like a unit kind of situation, you know. So when children get expelled or they got special needs, they put them somewhere, yeah. So they put him in this place now, and he wasn't learning. He didn't know how to read. He wasn't. I think he had dyslexic. I think he was dyslexic, right? But later on, when the mother finds out, because she have to try and convince the father about it, the father wasn't really interested. But later on now, you know, right? You know, in most communities, right, we have Saturday school. So he gets taken to a Saturday school and he learns to read, and the lady hands him a book, and he's reading this book, and you're like, wow. And then you see the difference from the beginning of the episode to the ending of the episode, how this child is able to read fluently. So you're foot on foot with this child now. You're like, wow. The child, he has such low self-esteem, which I believe is still going on now. So basically what I'm trying to say is all these situations that I just explained, except for the Lovers Rock, all these situations what I explained, like the Kingsley, the Musgrove 7, the Leroy Logan, it all shows different places of racism in the society. And to be honest, nothing has changed. When you look at the thing on a whole, nothing has changed. To me, what I always say is same game, different players. Because even now in England now, right, even like, it's like England's gone back to the Maggie Thatcher era, because there's Tories in Parliament now. Yeah, so obviously, right, it's like Conservative is running the thing, innit? So black people are still profiled. They're still seen as this and that and that and that and that and that. So no matter how much you work or how much you do, whatever, right, it's like you'll never fit into the society, or you're not supposed to fit into the society, right? So it's still the same, because any which way you look at, right, you can look at any video on YouTube, because like I looked at a lot of them. Britain in black and white and all this, right? Even when Rivers of Blood came out, right? Because there was a thing called there's a politician who did a speech called the Rivers of Blood over here. Then you see, even when they said, though they asked the peoples to come over here to help them in their country, which is the Windrush people, and I'm not straying for what I'm talking about now, right? They literally shitted on them, basically, because when they got here, right, they lived in the worst scenarios, right? The worst cases. Sometimes they weren't even allowed to rent houses. They weren't even allowed to do this. They weren't even allowed to get education. A lot of people died, right? So even till now, right? Even though you're in a good situation, but you're not in a good situation at the same time. It's like you got to try and make the best out of the situation you got, because long time ago, right, the most they want you to, right, like my grandmother, she was an SCN nurse, and when she tell you the stories or what she went through, where they were putting shit on her face, they were touching her to see if she got a tail, all this stuff. Now, when you look at programs like Small Axe and others, because there's a lot of programs out there that highlight these things. There's even one, I forgot what's it called now, but it used to have a famous black actor in there. I think Lenny Henry was in there as well, right? And you can see it. You can see what's going on. So if you're not aware of the history of what's going on here, I mean, America has problems and it has its history, its dark history. Over here has dark history too, because there was even a program with a famous model called, I forgot even her name too, but she is a famous model. And she used to like black men and all this stuff, and she used to turn everything upside down. But later on, because she went with a politician, right, she got money. She got loads of money, and she had a big old scandal. So England has this dark little stuff over here. Now, they said to our grandparents to come over here, but it's like they come over here for, I would say, for I mean, it's not a peaceful life. I don't even know. I can't even put it into words, because you know me, I'm not good with words, right? But it's like they ask them to come over. Now, when your child wants to learn certain things or want to do certain things or whatever, right? They said, no, you must be a cleaner. You must be this. You can't be that, right? So they were only allowed to be bus conductors, nurses, cleaners. They weren't even allowed to do a lot of things, right? And loads of oldies talk about it. And the reason why I'm talking about this, right, because I think it all links together in one sense or the other. So excuse me if I'm not making sense to everybody else out there, because I know I talk in the middle of sentences. I go off somewhere else, right? But when you're watching programs like Small Axe, right, you get a sense that how they don't want them to live. They don't want them to be people. They, like, they're like animals, like kind of thing. Oh, you're like an animal, right? But you cannot put people in boxes, because some people are high achievers. They're high achievers, whether they're living a certain way or not, right? So even the examples I've given you, like Leroy Logan, he see his dad get beaten up for no reason because the police was just target him. And then even though the dad didn't, right, you know, over here, right, when your son or your relative say, oh, I want to join the police, you just look at them like, why do you want to join the police? So his dad had that mindset because of what he's been through. Obviously, right, he had that mindset as well, because most of us have that mindset. You know, the police is the pigs. They're the lowest of the low. In my mind, if my child said to me, I want to join the police, I'm looking at them kind of like, is it? Why? Like, so at the end of the day, right, it's like, you know, your tolerance for police, anything law, anything like that, you're just not in it. Yeah. So that's what these programs are highlighting. So I'm just giving my opinion on this thing. So don't shoot me down or nothing, right? But that's what I see from where I'm sitting and my understanding and reading stuff. Because like I know about this stuff before, like the nucleus fire is very prominent was very prominent in the community where I'm at now, right? So like the child was 13 dead and nothing said. Till this day, I don't even know whether they even got justice for the nucleus fire. Stephen Lawrence come dead, come get stabbed up. I don't even know whether they got justice for him. Now, there is a lot of other examples I can give, right? Because I know like this is not the time to be talking about it. Yeah, I could be talking about the vaccine right now, but I already did that bit already. But I'm just putting my opinion on this because I feel that how yeah, a lot of things need to be said about small acts because it, you know, Steve McQueen wrote 12 Years of Slavery. Now, I watched 12 Years of Slavery. I wasn't exactly happy. I wasn't exactly jumpy about it neither. Because to me, before, because you know, we supposed to be just great people. Before slavery, we were great people. You know, dynasties, all this stuff, right? And and even in British history, right? They had Moors over here, living over here, like Othello types was living over here. Even when you watch things like Robin Hood, they were living over here, but they don't talk about that, right? They always talk about like the worst scenarios. Like it's like we are always deemed as the slave or whatever, right? But like they said in Britain, right, when they were chucking out their shit out their window and doing all sorts of bathing once a month, it's the Moors who came over here, or as Peanut Nola would say, the indigenous came over here and taught them to clean up themselves, right? So at the end of the day, right? Oh yes, not only that, not forgetting, right? The Queen also adopted, well, she ain't even say, she just adopted a young lady. Then there was a mixed race one as well. So that was in the courts. So I don't know why they look on us as lower than low, because we they were trading with us. They were trading with African countries and all this, getting gold, getting coffee. Okay, some cases, right, they tortured a lot of people, right? I can even go as far as King Leopold for the rubber, right? So, you know, even though like people don't want to talk about Africa, yeah, but at the same time, when you really check it, it's a lot deeper than this, right? It's a lot deeper than here, right? So when you look at certain programs, right, we are always the one getting beaten. So before they raise us up as as you know, so when your child's looking at that, right, your child's thinking, oh my gosh, right, they're always getting beaten up by the police, or they're put in jail, or they're getting whipped. So in your psyche, right, you're always seen as worse than, you're not seen as better than. And I think that how it's all, everything that's happening even now is all deliberate. Nothing's by coincidence. There's no coincidence in anything, right? Because some things happen, some things are put in your face for a reason. So with small acts, that's put in your face for a reason. Because I did hear about the Musgrove 7 before, and I didn't really take it on board, but I knew about Dark as Hell. So when I watched it, when I watching their story, I'm like, wow. So Dark as Hell wasn't just talking, or he wasn't just the devil's advocate, because he used to come on Channel 4 and be the devil's advocate at the time. And people used to not be feeling Dark as Hell because they used to call him a coconut and all this stuff, yeah. But when you really check it now, Dark as Hell did a lot for the little time he had on Earth. He did a lot. And then there's Boltang as well, right? There's loads of them. I mean, apart from the ones that's gone now. But when you really check it, it's like, if you don't raise your own mind as a person of color, or whatever you call yourself, or you call yourself indigenous, more, right, you yourself have to always raise up your vibration. You have to always say, no, I'm better than this, I'm better than what they think of me, right? You have to do it. Even like comes down to self-employment and stuff like that, you have to be better, 10 times better than the other person. You can't think, oh no, where I'm just going to stay here. No, you can't think like that. So I mean, and this is words to myself, because I'm not even talking to everybody. I talk to myself too. So when you watch stories like that, right, you watch it, you take it on board, and then you yourself elevate yourself, because people didn't just take all this time to get fight and beat up by police and go through all this madness for you not to have a voice. And if people don't have a voice right now, I mean, now, right, if you don't have a voice, if you're not heard, you have to be heard. There is loads of people doing loads of stuff on the social media right now, right? And they are making changes to certain things. Okay, fair enough, right? They tried to stop the vaccine thing, it ain't stopped. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking more about people that is been through a lot. People's been, right, because we have been through some kind of something. Because Jill Gary, I think it's Jill Gary, the slave syndrome, as she calls it, we always going through it. We're always going through it. And you see it in your children. Maybe some people don't see it in their children, others see it in their children, because it plays out. It's like you're sitting down and you're watching a book. It's like you're constantly watching something. It's like, and it playing out, right? So you're just thinking to yourself, no, I've got to become better, because people didn't just protest, get killed off by police and all this, get put in prison. Some died, and even on the Netflix in South Africa, even, right. Everyone talks about Nelson Mandela, but there was another guy who also died, and he was part of the ANC too, right? It's on Netflix. It's called, I can't remember the name, but it begins with a K, right? And it shows what he went through. So we're always constantly going through stuff. We're never on. It's like you're never on top of the triangle. You're always like at the midsection, or I wouldn't say the bottom, but you're always at the midsection. You never go to the top. Some people make it to the top. Some people sell out. Everyone's talking about Jay-Z and all the stuff that they're doing and all that stuff. They sell out. They don't help their people. Yes, But there's the ones who work so hard. They work so hard. They work so hard. They work so hard every day. They're at work, right? And this program, I think, showed examples of struggles, because they all different struggles, excluding Lovers Rock. There was all different struggles, but in different ways. So, and I'm not saying that how, right, you mustn't struggle, because like that's how you learn and that's how you become a better person. But we, the ones that is here now, right? Sometimes, right, you have to be better than no, you have to be better, because them oldies didn't just fight and do stuff for you to just sit down and take it on your head, like, yes, you know. So before I start waffling on, I think I'm just gonna leave it there, because I just like go here, there, because I jump around. I can't. I jump everywhere. I don't want to jump everywhere. So this is my opinion on Small Axe, the series and episodes. You know, I mean, and yeah, I mean, just tell me what you think, because I know what I think, and I don't think I've expressed it wide enough. You know what I mean? I wish I could do the paneling thing where I can have back and forth, but it's okay, it's fine, right? So this is the thing, right? So after our grandparents, great grandparents, parents go through all this stuff, and then like you're sitting down, you're watching a program. So I mean, I don't like Steve McQueen neither, right? I don't rate him neither, right? But at the end of the day, he told several stories, and the three that touch me is the Musgrove, the Leroy Logan, Kingsley, and Alex Whitley. Because those are real struggle. Those struggles are so real. You have you shouting at the TV, you know, and I'm a typical one. I shout at the TV, yes, I shout at the TV, lick him, yes, I'm one of them. So at the end of the day, like, you tell me what you think of the Small Axe series as well, because this is just my opinion on it, yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there. I don't even want to go on and on and on and on, because like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna talk and talk and talk and talk into the sunset. But anyway, yes. So thank you for listening to me. If anybody's listening to me, like, comment, well, subscribe. I mean, I'm trying to get used to this thing in it, so you know what I mean. So yeah, man. So later.